Hello, everyone, and welcome to Raising Remarkable Teenagers. I am so excited today because, as you all know, I scoured the whole world looking for some of the best tips and strategies and snippets and steps to help us raise highly effective teenagers. And today, guess who I've got from Dallas, all the way from Dallas? I have Kim Muench. And Kim is going to be talking to us about parent self care, parental self care. Because as we look after our young people, we need to look after ourselves. As you all know, I am very big on looking after ourselves because we know that we can only give that which we've got. So, without much delay, I'm going to leave Kim to introduce herself and tell you exactly who she is and how she's going to help us today. Because, as always, all the parents here, including myself, we are always looking for what can we do next? How can we be better for our young people? So, Kim Muench, welcome to Raising Remarkable Teenagers podcast. And we are so excited. And most importantly, we are very honored that you've come over to speak to us today. Welcome.
Thank you, Angie. I'm so excited to have the opportunity to talk about parent self-care with you and with your audience today. It is a passion of my heart. I'll just tell you a little bit about myself before we launch into this.
That's it.
So I am a Jai Institute for Parenting certified coach, and I'm the founder of Real Life Parent Guide. This is the name of my business. And though I'm a certified coach, I feel like guide is a much warmer, less strategic sound to what I do. I am the mother of 5. My kids range in age from 15. My only daughter is 15. And then I have boys that are 17, 22, 27, and 33. Wow. And I am married. But how I got into parent coaching, I think, is important for me to share with you and your listeners as well.
Oh, yes,
that is
love that.
Yes. In 2008, we were living in Texas. My husband's job had moved us down from our home state of Wisconsin. So my oldest son stayed behind because he had graduated high school. He was starting college up there, and he just was starting his own life. Well, I got a call from him one day saying, "Mom, I have lost the last 3 days of my life to an alcohol binge. This isn't the first time, and I need help." Wow. Now, as a parent, I had some inkling of issues that were going on with him prior to our move, but I had no idea that was happening. So over a series of really stressful incidents for him and for our family over the next couple of years, a lot of ups and downs, he finally got to a place where he began his recovery journey. And in May of this year, he celebrated 10 years of sobriety. So it was that experience of walking with him through his addiction to alcohol that really began me thinking about how I was parenting, how I had been parented by my parents. And really, I went back to college and got a degree in psychology, and then started writing about the adolescent relationship with parents. And I've immersed myself since 2008 in the parent-child relationship, specifically as it regards teenagers. So that's how I came into what I do. What my topic and what I really want to talk about today is how important it is for us as parents to work on our own emotional crap. I'm going to say that nicely.
That's
in right. In order to be emotionally attuned and available to our kids, especially as they go through their teen years.
Brilliant. That is so, gosh, I was having little goosebumps as you said that, because and it's so important for people to hear this, because I always talk about, apart from obviously talking about research, we love to hear these real stories, because this is life. This is the life we are doing. And I am so intrigued, and I just want to hear how you started, that evaluating how you were parenting, and how you maybe even helped your young person, your teenager, your young person by then, to go through that journey. And obviously, we'd like to hear about how did you navigate that, and what were your findings? What did you find that you are doing wrong, if at all? Or and what did you find that you are doing correctly? We would like to hear that, because this is quite intriguing, and gosh,
Sure.
I don't even know what to say. Go on.
Well, that's a lot. That's a lot. Let's start with that. So Nick and I had Nick when I was 18 years old. And I had a very upper middle class upbringing. I had private school education, but my freshman year in college, I got pregnant with Nick. And my parents were very unhappy about this, obviously. My mom was more supportive than my dad.
Yeah.
My dad, basically, I had to leave our family home. So I had to navigate the public assistance system as an 18-year-old
Whoa.
and figure out how to single parent him. So I say all of that to let you know that I started out as a very young mother. And Nick and I, my oldest son, really did a lot of growing up together. So I think that's important to say. I stayed with his dad for a couple of years, but that was an unhealthy relationship for us. So I broke it off with him, but still had to co-parent with him for many years.
Yeah.
And I absolutely think that the fact that my son had to go between two very different households contributed to his anxiety, which led to his coping with alcohol. Okay, I will say that. Shortly after, so I single parented for a little while, and then I met my husband, and we married, and we have 4 kids together, and we've been married for almost 30 years at this point. So Nick had this childhood where he went between, like I said, 2 very different places. And I think that led to a lot of feelings of not feeling accepted really in either place, even though he loved his siblings. He and I had a very good relationship during his teen years. Actually, my friends would come to me because I was the first one to have a baby. So I was the first one to have a teenager. And my friends are like, when I have a teenager, I'm going to come to you because you have such a good rapport with Nick. Well, it's interesting because I received that phone call that I talked about from Nick when he was just about 20 years old. So even though I felt all during his teen years, we had good open communication. We talked about his dad. We talked about the difficulty he had between between 2 houses. But the thing about it is we don't know everything about our children. And we're not necessarily meant to, especially during their teen years. But and even if I had known that he was using alcohol to cope, to fall asleep at night, to get him through some tough times, I don't know that I would have been able to stop all of the things that happened to him. Yeah. And I think when I got that phone call, what I want you to note, and what I want parents to note, is for whatever reason, even though I didn't know what I was doing, and I knew that I contributed to this as his parent, yeah, I didn't go into shame about it. I didn't wallow in why me. I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm the worst parent in the world. I knew I had contributed, and I knew I had to look at that, but I didn't waste time, because what was more important to me was helping him figure out how to get himself onto a better place. And the thing that I learned during that, so many times he fell off the wagon and ended up in jail, and so many things. What I really realized is how little control I had over what he was experiencing. And at one point, one very dark point, I realized as his mother, I didn't know why he'd come into the world. I could only love and support him and not do anything that would contribute to his hurting himself, not enable him. Okay. So I had to ask myself during these times, is what I want to do for him helping him,
Yes.
or enabling him. In
Enabling
terms of
him.
whether or not I gave him money or anything, I mean, I wasn't really in a position to give him a lot of money, so that was helpful, thank goodness, because I
Yeah.
wasn't in that spot.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is you have to be very, very conscious
Yes.
of what you're doing. Is it helping your child grow or hurting and holding them back?
Absolutely. That is one thing that I keep talking about. And I'm glad that you mentioned it. To be very conscious about, am I am I am I helping or am I hindering? To consciously ask yourself, one thing I say is our children came through us, and our job is to give them life, is to continuously give them life. And what I mean by that is everything that I do or everything that we do with my young person is constantly ask myself, am I a conduit of life or am I a constrictor of life? Because we can be conduits or constrictors in words, in deed. We can be that in very many different ways. And I'm glad you mentioned that. And another thing I just picked from what you said is the fact that when that happened, when your son went into what we would call the depths or the doldrums, you did not feel shame. It's very unusual because I know I have had moments of shame, I have had moments of guilt, and because I work with parents, I know how much many of us, the first thing we do when something, maybe when your young person behaves in a way that we don't necessarily want them to behave, is we quickly go into shame or we quickly go into guilt. So I'm so intrigued at the power or that thing that made you, instead of, because that's a default for even, and I say that as a psychologist, as a person who has teens of my own, as a person who has worked with young people. I say that, and I say even myself, I go into that moment before I then jump out and say to myself, actually, this is not helping. This is not helping. So would you help us know how you were able to do that?
Well, it's interesting that you said our children come through us, because a couple of years ago, I think you're going to love what's about to come out of my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of years ago, I had something that was downloaded to me, and I'm just going to tell you, it's actually my email signature because I think it's just so deep. It's this: our children come through us, not for us, except for the lessons they reflect to us during their journey in an effort to grow us up along the way. So our children come into the world in a way to help us grow up, and their behavior at times triggers our limiting beliefs about ourselves.
Absolutely.
However, what taking you back to your question, I knew how my parents had felt ashamed and shamed me when I was 18 years old and pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And when my son called me, for some reason, I connected the dots quickly that if I respond this way, it wasn't helpful to me as an 18-year-old pregnant girl. My
Oh,
son being 20 years old and addicted to alcohol, I needed to find out the root cause, not waste time going into, oh, this happened to me, or my child is so, I'm so egoically connected to my kid.
yeah.
I was enough detached to be able to look at it from the outside and know that I wanted to make a different decision as a parent when my kid really needed me than my parents were able to do for me when I was really in need.
Wow, that is so important. What I hear from you is that you are quickly able to reflect and possibly even bring back the feelings you had felt, which were not very nice when you were
No.
shamed. So those feelings help you behave in a different way or respond to your son's problem or to your son's issue at that time in a different problem. So I'm feeling and I'm hearing that it's very important for us to reflect, so that to be conscious as well, so that we are not repeating the same mistakes, so we are not unconsciously repeating the same mistakes that happened to us when we were younger. So that is
Yeah.
that is so powerful. And another thing I heard you say is your that which was downloaded to you, that our children come through us, not to us, not for us. And I'm not sure that one of the, maybe all my listeners are here because I keep talking about Khalil Gibran's poem. Do you know
Yes,
it?
yes.
Yeah. So
Yes, I do. That, and
when you
yes.
said that, when
This
you
is
said
kind of a division. It's kind of a like an offshoot of that. Yes. And I, like, literally I was showering one day and that sentence came to me, and I have used it ever since, because I think, like Khalil Gibran, I mean, like, our children are not for
our
us
own, yeah, they,
except for what they can. Yeah, our children are not our own, right?
yeah, that's the thing. I remember the first time I told one of the parents, our children are not our own. They are life's own product, coming through us. And it was like, no, my kid is mine. And I said, no, our kids, and how, some of the basic knowledge that we know that our kids are not our own is, think about some of the basic processes that happen within them, with absolutely no control from us. Their heartbeats, we have absolutely no control of that. They breathe, we
Right.
have absolutely no control of that. They have a digestive system that we have absolutely, literally, they just come to, it was life wanting to express through us. And when you first accept that, I can imagine. And that's where, because sometimes we are so attached with our children and we think they are an expression of us. So if they do things wrong, we think we are wrong. When they do nice things, we are proud for them, and we see ourselves as an expression. But in true sense, of course, we should be happy for them when they're doing well. But in the truth of the matter is, they are just, they are life. It's like being proud because of, it's like me, it's the same as me being proud because the tree bloomed. It's not, it's I had,
You
it's,
don't have anything to do yet.
I have nothing to do with it. I can be happy for it, I can enjoy the flowers, I can enjoy what's happening, but I cannot say, oh, it's because of me. Yeah. Or neither can
Right.
I say, when the leaves fall in fall, I cannot say, oh God, oh, it's because of me that the tree, that the tree looks bad. So that's really, really powerful,
I think the reason, and the reason that I told you before the call, or before we recorded,
Yeah.
that I just left my job to full-time parent coach, and because I think it's so deeply important that we evolve the way parenting looks from one of over our children to one of with our children. I mean, I want to be a conduit for that movement of change, and I want to do it one parent at a time. But I think the reason that my parents acted the way they did, and so many parents still react with shame,
Yeah.
is because that's the way they were raised, right? They were raised in a dominant parenting paradigm where the parent was all knowing, you respected them, and children were seen and not heard to a degree. What I'm saying is our children's behavior, the rise in anxiety, the depression, the suicide rate with adolescent, I believe social media and our culture has something to do with it. However, I think the overriding part of it is that we need to evolve the way we are parenting. We need to look at ourselves, not in a shameful way, but in a way that recognizes that we need to make conscious choices, like I did with my son, about handling things differently than we were handled. Think about what I want parents to do is think about a time when they maybe had a really difficult time with their parent, and their parent punished them for
Mm,
something that
mm,
what would have been more beneficial to you as a child. Think about that. Get into the space of what would have been helpful if
mm.
your grades were horrible and your parents just grounded you. What would have been helpful to you? And then, though your child is not the same as you, think and get curious and ask your child, especially if they're a teenager at this point,
Yes.
how can I best support you? How can I best support you? And your child may not know right away, but giving them that autonomy, giving them that choice in the matter is not weak. It is what our children need to know, that they are valued.
Absolutely. I like what you say about asking them how we want, that is something again. Oh, most people say, "Oh, Angela, you come up with some really radical parenting practices." And I say, for example, uh, if you're in business and you have a customer, you ask them, how can I serve you? How can I do better? Why is it that we as parents, our kids, our teenagers, we need to be asking them, how can I do better? How can I serve you better? Because that's our role as a leader, who we are, because as parents we are leaders. So we need to understand the needs. And how do you understand needs? By finding out from the person in whom you want to serve. So, and I like that you acknowledge that, and I feel we've got this. There is a flow between your thinking and our thinking over here, and I am so proud. And I would like my all of these parents to get to know you and get to know how you can help them. Actually, I am so excited about this session, and just to hear, you know I'm actually extremely excited, because sometimes we get guests who we have different ideas, and it's okay to have different ideas. And to hear that there is you, Kim, wanting to have a different perspective, a perspective that allows our young people to be autonomous, a perspective that allows them to feel valued, because it's in feeling valued, it is in feeling heard, it is in feeling understood, that they grow in independence, and actually they reach that higher level which we call interdependence. Because when you feel respected, you are able to respect other people, and you're able to create those meaningful relationships at that interdependent level. So I am so excited about all the what you're talking about. So, one of the questions I wanted to ask you is, for example, you said you talked about, obviously, not feeling the shame and not feeling the guilt. So, how do you tend to empower parents to think this differently? Because I mean, I tend to call it a poisonous parenting paradigm, the way we were parented. For example, I remember even when I was young, feeling there was no need to strike me like that. You could have talked to me, and I would probably have explained to you why I did what I did. And obviously, I couldn't say that, because that would only warrant
Exacerbate the
another
problem.
beating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you keep quiet, but then there is another way. So how do you empower parents to change that paradigm? How do you do that?
Well, when I work, the people who resonate with my work are those who understand that they are a part of the problem they're having with their teenager, and they're willing to look within themselves. They have the courage to look within themselves in order to make the relationship better and healthier and more functional. And I speak to those parents because they're a little bit aware. They're a little bit aware. There are many parents who are unwilling, who just white knuckle their way through their kids' teenage years. They do it just like their parents did, or maybe not just like their parents did, but in a way that diminishes who the child is. They don't want to be in a vulnerable position, but parents actually are in the driver's seat of no. And the reason I work with parents of teenagers is because it's never too late.
Absolutely.
It's never too late. Teenagers and young adults, I should say, because I work with a lot of parents who have kids in their 20s, and it's never too late. But you may, as a parent, in fact,
can I just say, in when we talk about teenagers here, we actually talk about young people from the age of 12 to about 25, because the teenager's brain, the puberty, the adolescent brain continues to develop in that particular stage until they're about 25. So when parents come to me and say, oh, he should know better, he's 21, and I say to him, we all grow at different levels. And what research is showing us is that the adolescent brain is actually not developed until we're about 25. And I mean, we may have had to grow quicker because of the way we were parented. But now our young people don't have as many challenges as we had. But the brain, what we are finding is that adolescent, it's a bit longer than it ever was, or maybe it was, but we had not done the research then. But that is what it is. So it is fine for us to talk about teenagers, even if they're 20, 22, 25, up to the age of 25, Yeah, so I am excited, yeah.
Yes, I agree with you. So I think stories are a really important way to connect with other parents.
Mhm.
And I actually am in the process, I'm about 80% complete writing a book called Becoming Me While Raising You, A Mother's Journey to Self. And it is stories that I share. Yes, it's stories that I share.
And I was so excited. I was like, yeah, this is so interesting. Yeah. We're looking forward to reading this. It's really intriguing. Yeah, go on.
So it's stories from my childhood where I have taken on unconscious beliefs about myself that have played out all through my teenage, my adult life until I did the work. And this is what I do with parents, help them identify their child's behavior is triggering them, right?
Yeah.
Generally, it's triggering limiting beliefs they have about themselves. If a child isn't listening to you, you feel disrespected, but beneath that is that you didn't feel heard as a child.
Uh-huh.
And that's triggering you. So I work with parents to uncover their limiting beliefs, to help them get to a place of beliefs that better serve not only their lives, but the relationship with their child. So Becoming Me While Raising You is sharing the unconscious beliefs that I took on as a child that played out in the choices I made all through my adult life until recently, when I, did the work. The last 10, 12 years, I've really been working on myself, and it doesn't have to take 10 or 12 years. What I'm saying is I'm trying to help parents get to this place by sharing what I've been through so that they have something to refer to know that it's okay to look within themselves. And I really, like I said, the rise in anxiety and depression is in part our culture, but in part really our children screaming to us that we have to evolve the way that we are raising them. Everything else changes in the world.
Absolutely.
Why not parenting?
Absolutely. I agree with you. And one thing I say, and I say to myself all the time, is that if we are going to make advancement, because all of us want to make advancement, we're gonna have to acknowledge, first of all, that things are not all right, and then accept, yeah, it is not all right with me. For example, my relationship with my young person, we just have to accept, and only after accepting, acknowledging, can we then advance. And I like what you said about how our young people behave, and like ticking us off. It ticks us off in, sorry, in different ways. And that's why it's
Yeah.
important to work on ourselves, to work on our paradigm, or the way we've been thinking, the way we have thought. Is consciously ask yourself, is this what I'm doing helping me? Even, where did I get this kind of belief from? Is it helping me? And that kind of a thing is, it's very important for us to think like that. And I would like you to tell me about, in terms of self-care, because I don't want to overtake this, because I know what I would say to parents. For example, if a parent came for a session, and maybe they want to improve their bond with their young person. And like you said, most of us, in fact, not long ago, I did a research, and what I was asking parents is about motivating our young people. And as I asked these questions, can you believe the actual question, that the actual need was, our parents want to feel respected, they want to feel listened to, they want to feel, they want to feel understood. And therefore, if those are everything that you feel, what makes you think that the other person does not want those are not needs in them, right? So
Right. Absolutely.
I want you to talk about self-care. I want you to talk about first understanding yourself, and then being what you want your young person to be. Because like we said from the beginning, we can only give that which we have. So if you can just talk to us through about, like,
Right.
yeah, helping us become.
So like what are the things we need to do, right? What are the
Yes.
things that we need to do in order to do this?
Yes.
One of the things that I ask parents to do when we start working together is a daily meditation practice.
Uh-huh.
I believe there's so much noise and information. We know that there's so much coming at our children for
Yes.
them to decipher, but so as adults we have the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we always think the answer for our issues is somewhere out there. Somebody else has it. Even me sitting here with you, like, we're telling parents that we have this answer. But one of the things that's most important is that we get in touch with ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So meditation on a daily basis is something I start my day with. It I'm on, I think, my 1010th day in a row of starting meditation. Starting my day with meditation and setting an intention for my day. And perhaps that intention is something simple like to get to know myself better. My intention today is to become more aware of the world around me. Whatever, it can be simple, right? It can be simple. Or my intention today is to understand my teenager just a little bit better.
Aww.
Give me the patience to do that. So meditation is a big way. Being, of course, exercising. I walk 6 miles a day.
Wow.
No matter what the weather, whether it's Texas heat or even we have cold and rain. We have it's going to be like 40 degrees or something today. So we have cold. But getting outside and grounding yourself in nature. Even if you live in the city, you could just to get some of that fresh air to connect with that. And then I think one of the most important things, there's obviously you can read books that call to your heart, but if you can find someone that really resonates with you, that you can, all of those thoughts and things things that are going on in your head that you can not alone, and to work with someone to help you get to better understanding of yourself is important. If you don't have that, if you don't have access to that, journaling is another thing that I work with my parents on a lot, to again redevelop that connection to ourselves. I also want to say, over time, when I not only worked on myself emotionally, but I started to think about even the music I was listening to on the radio with my kids. My kids in the car. My daughter at one point was 4 years old, and she was singing Rihanna's Sex in the Air, whatever, some lyric, and I'm like, she doesn't understand what this is, but she is internalizing this message. And so I need to make choices. And it didn't happen overnight. I didn't all of a sudden, it took time, and the more aware I became, the more intentional I became with the choices I was making. So just, if you have parents listening to this, they obviously are parents who are wanting and desiring to become more aware of the relationship with their kids. So as you say, Angie, that begins with a better, healthier relationship to self.
That's right. That's right. And I like what you said about meditation, and I like when parents hear this from other people, because I am one person that really talks about meditation and the value of actually quieting and silencing that space within you that has actually all the answers, right? Just the Christmas gone, my gift to all of my parents and all of my listeners was a meditation clip. It was about an 8-minute meditation clip, and it has affirmations and also just very nice music. And one parent said to me, "Oh, why did you think you could give us this?" And and I said, in the midst of all the mayhem that's happening, when we quiet our mind, and also you have positivity coming through, that is from where we have renewed strength. That is from where we grow. And that is from where, because that's where we get our answers from, because none of us has the answers. Each one of us has answers to our own selves. However, sometimes we need a supportive system, and that's why I encourage parents to speak to people like you, Kim. Those who feel they don't resonate with me, as I don't say you must come and speak with me. I say, whatever you do, don't do it alone. Find a supportive system, find a supportive person. For example, Kim is here. In fact, before we go ahead and before we forget to ask, I just want to ask you how the listeners, our parents here, can find you. Where can they find you? How can they reach you? And what would what kind of help would you be willing to offer them? And after that, I'm gonna ask you to give us uh, at least 3 steps or strategies or snippets, just 3, which is something all of our listeners know, that before we let any of our guests go, we always ask them to give us 3 things that we can do as soon as this week to improve our relationship with our young people, improve ourselves. That is what. But let's do the first one first before I ask you that one.
Okay. So easiest way to reach me is probably message on Facebook. I'm Kim Muench, Muench. I have a business page called Real Life Parent Guide. So that's on there. You can message me either on my personal page or through the business page. That would be great. My website is reallifeparentguide.com. They can reach me there. And I would, what I do with all parents is I give them a 20 to 30-minute free, no obligation consultation. I think it's really important that, I mean, they've gotten to know me a little bit through this interview. However, I really think that I think when I hear their own, there are several challenges that families have that are kind of in common, but
Yes.
every family is unique and different, and how I work with each family is unique and different. So I give a free consultation, no obligation, to let you know how I would work with your family. And one of the first things we do is set goals. How do we know if we're getting better if we don't know what the goals are? That is the most
Right.
important thing.
That's
So
right.
that's how I work with parents. In terms of the three things,
Yes,
I
please.
referred in a little bit ago. I referred to a little bit ago to. I think this is one of the most important things you can do with your child is say, how can mom best support you? How can
Wow.
dad best support you?
Mm.
Okay, and your child may not know the answer to that, okay, right then, but give them that opportunity. If they really can't come up with it, maybe give them some choices that you can think of or
Mm.
brainstorm it together, right? Really important to give that to them. So, how can I best serve you?
Yeah.
That it does not make you look weak. It does not, it gives the child knowledge that you deeply care,
That's
right?
right.
And that you know that you're helping them hone their own intuition, right?
Mm.
By
Mm.
honoring who they are. The
Mm.
next one is when parents are always saying, I can't get my kid to listen, blah blah blah, I can't get him to do their chores. I want you to reframe that in the way you ask it by saying, would you be willing? For example, my daughter's sitting on the sofa looking at her phone. I need some help with dinner. If I go over to her and I say, Mia, I need you to set the table, blah, 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 while I do this, that, and the other thing, immediately my tone, obviously, and the way I've asked the question are going to get a certain response. Now, she may do it, but she will not feel good about it. What
Yeah.
I want you to do when you need something from your child is to say, would you be willing?
Willing. Yeah.
Mia, would you be willing to set the table as I make the pasta and the spaghetti sauce for dinner?
Yeah.
Totally different mindset and frame of mind because it's really giving her, and I've not found with my kids, and when I've told this to other parents I've coached, that they've gotten resistance from that,
Yeah.
right? Everybody by nature, we want to help, we want to know that we're contributing.
Yes.
It's all about the way you ask. Okay,
Absolutely.
so how can I best serve you? Would you be willing? And the third thing is the next time things start to get tense with you and your child, take a moment and a breath and become aware of what's happening in your body. Do
Mm-hmm.
that just one time so you can start to gain awareness
Mm.
and stop, interrupt so that you can respond to your child rather than just react to them. If you are here and you are listening to this interview and you've gotten this far, then you care about making positive changes in the relationship. It
Absolutely.
starts with you. So pause the next time. How are you feeling it in your body? Take a breath and then say what you need to say. And I bet it's not the same thing you would have said if you didn't take that pause.
Wow. Wow. That is so, so powerful. And you had that. Ask your young person, ask your teenager, how can I serve you? How can I do better? This is something here we call becoming, stepping from being a parent to actually being a partner. This is so powerful because I know most of us listening here, you've heard me say, we need to step. We need to start moving away. And exactly what you said, Kim, earlier about shifting how we do this, shifting from being parents, shifting from being the know it all, the say it all, to being a partner. How would you speak to a partner in a healthy relationship? So think in terms of that with your young person. right? The second thing I heard you talk about is reframe the questions, reframe the request. Would you be willing? There is a psychological motivation in that question, that when you ask someone, are you willing? So when you ask them, are you willing? There is that part of them, that part of us that wants to do things, the part of us that want to give, the God part of us, which is always wanting to give. When you give someone the option to say, yes, I am willing, that is a very powerful, instead of saying to them, I need. And what I heard you say is, when you're coming from a need place, it's a very low energy level place. I need you to do this. So you become, it's an almost, it may not sound like that, but it's a helpless part, that and many people, many of us are not motivated when someone is needy. And I don't mean when they have a problem, I mean, a needy person, right? And then the third one I heard you say was becoming aware, taking that minute, well, maybe not a minute, maybe a minute is too long, but taking those 5 seconds to decide, is this the best way for me to approach this? Or how am I going to respond when your teenager, for example, I mean, I've got many examples, when she shouts from behind her door, wow, it's up to me to breathe in and decide, how am I going to respond to this? Because if you just react, it's like adding fire into the fuel. So I am so grateful. And I know all you guys there are going to be practicing these 3 snippets that Kim has shared with us. And I want to hear how it's working. I want you guys to come back to us and tell us how it's working for you. I'm going to practice it as well, actually, because I am guilty of not asking even though I know that's how I should ask. I know I am guilty of not asking my daughter, are you willing to do this? And normally it's because of the fear that she'll say no. Yeah. So I am so grateful now. Kim, have you got some last thoughts for us?
Oh my goodness. I feel like we just had such a great conversation today. Know that my passion for supporting parents, especially during their child's adolescence, is so key to my heart. And I would love the opportunity to talk a little bit further about the book when it comes out, with you and your audience, because I think it will be very helpful.
I feel you. I'm just feeling, I don't think we've had enough of you yet. And we are looking forward we want to hear about this becoming while raising you. It just, I, I'm already feeling intrigued, and I am so excited. And Kim, thank you so much for the information that you've shared with us. Some of it quite personal, and I'm sure what you've done for me and also for other parents is to know that some of the experiences that their teenagers and their young people are going through, it's not limited to them. All of us, most of us are going through that, and we're not alone. And it's in sharing, and that's why I want you guys to reach out to Kim and find out. I mean, some of the stories that you talked about, I was just cringing. I'm like, oh my God, I don't know how I would have dealt with that. And that's why I'm asking everyone to reach out, maybe for any clarification, any more information, and most importantly, see how Kim can support you in your journey raising your remarkable young person. And I am so grateful for you, Kim, today. And for all of you guys listening, I'm so excited. You know, I always am so excited about these sessions, and to know that we are chatting, we are talking about things that we hold dear. We hold our young people dear to us, and I'm so excited that we've gone through this together. And from all of us here at Raising Remarkable Teenagers, we are so grateful, and we are so helpful. And what I'll do, I'll put Kim's link and contacts down here, so you can contact her there. And today I am just filled with gratitude, and I wish you a great day today, Kim, and
Thank you.
everyone today. Thank you.
It's been a blessing, Angie. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye now.